from whence then come this conscious intelligence and conscious will?
Yes.
Yes. So, all of you have that Sankhya Darshanam chart, no? 24 principles of Prakriti. So,
Yes.
I'll read from there, and because the para we are going to read now is exactly that. So, the chart will help you to understand. Okay. So, the Sankhya philosophy talks of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Okay. Now, Sattva is the subjective aspect. If you have the chart, look at it. Okay. If you don't have the chart, you have to get it and look at it. So if all of you confirm that you have the chart, I will start reading.
I have a chart, but my chart is in cell phone, so I cannot open it.
Ah, so then,
Even my chat is in the phone, which I can't open
okay. So,
because I'm using the phone. So it's okay, but we'll remember.
okay.
But
Anyway, we'll discuss it and then Senda has given the explanation of the Sankhya philosophy. Okay, so and the chart is because of the Sankhya philosophy itself. So, the Sankhya philosophy talks about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva corresponds to the subtle mental plane of consciousness. The substance there is subtle. Then you have Rajas. Rajas is the action of energy, movement, power, action, strength. Okay, so this is the, and it is slightly more dense. The substance is slightly more dense, just like ice, water, water vapor. Okay, there is a gradation of density. Then you come down to tamas, which is the most objective part, and it is matter, and that is the densest. So, the Sankhya philosophy says this substance, okay, that means to say, yeah, the sattva rajas tamas divide into two aspects: the sattvic aspect and the tamasic aspect. Then the sattvic aspect changes, produces first of all buddhi, and buddhi is the mahas. Mahat is the supermind, okay, according to Swamdo. But that these words are little flexible, so it first creates buddhi. Then buddhi, when it comes down to the overmind level, it creates ahankara. Ahankara is in Sanskrit aham means me, I, and kara that which creates the I. So that's the ego. In other words, if you want to see in another way, the one becomes the many, and the many start becoming conscious of their own individuality. Okay, so that's the ahankara. Then, when you come down even more, it becomes the manas. The manas is the physical mind. Note on interesting, all these are psychological. Okay? They are subtle. They are the subjective aspect. The sattvic aspect. Buddhi, mahas, buddhi, ahankara, and manas. Manas is a physical mind, the one that interprets the senses. Then on the other side, you have the objective aspect, matter, substance, energy. So that produces again two things. It produces first the substance of the subtlest starts becoming denser and denser and denser. So ether is the subtlest. Air becomes slightly less dense because you can feel the air on your cheek when there is a wind blowing on your body. You can feel it very much when there is a storm. Okay, so air is slightly thicker than ether. Then you come down, you have fire. You can have air, you can only feel, but fire you can also see, and you can also, you can't touch, but you can feel the heat. Okay. Then it comes down to water and earth. So these are what are called the Pancha Mahabhutas. Okay. Ether, air, fire, water, earth. They are substance becoming less and less subtle. They become dense as they come down. So these are the five elements in the objective aspect. Ether, air, fire, water. Now corresponding to these, there are the Tan Matras, what you call. These are the Mahabhuta. Bhuta is a, a creation, okay, Bhuta, that which comes into. So these are the elemental states of matter, as Srindu says. Then the other side, Okay, objective aspect starts producing sound, contact, form, taste, and smell. Sound corresponds to ether. In ether, okay, there is only sound. And that is the reason why you have the creation begins with ether, and that's why you have the sound of Om. Okay. And in the Jewish tradition, in India we say Om because we want to use A, U, Ma. Okay. So that represents the three grades of substance. But in the Jewish tradition, they hear the sound as a hmm. There is no vowel sound in it. Okay. Humkara. And India also we knows about it, and that's why many of the mantras, particularly the tantrics, when they use the mantras, they call it the Humkara. And they say Om, Reem, Cream. These are the words that they use. They are the original sounds. Okay? So that is the sound in ether. Corresponding to air, you have contact because touch and contact. Because when air comes, you can feel it. It touches your skin. You are capable of that. Then when it comes to fire, it becomes form. You can start seeing the forms. Although the form of fire is very variable, and yet it is a form. Okay. Then you have water. In water, taste also comes in. Okay. In fire, there is no taste. You can't taste fire. But in water, you can taste. And finally, when you come down to earth, it is smell. So at the earth level, all the sound, touch, form, seeing forms, taste, and smell are available to you at the physical level. But as you start going up higher and higher in consciousness, one by one, these things start going away. Okay? So it's interesting if you think about it. But in dream, you are in the subtle world. So, can any of you say that in your dreams you have had smell? You can hear, okay, certainly, and you can also see forms in your dreams. But can you say that smell also is there? Usually it is not there. And as you go higher up, even then, then taste also. You may have a dream where you are eating, but you may not be able to perceive the taste if you go higher up. Then you go even higher up, then even form disappears. It starts becoming formless. Okay? The infinite starts becoming formless. Okay? Then you come to air, form disappears and only touch is there. Finally, you have only sound. So this is the five principles: ether, air, fire, water, earth, and the other principles: sound, contact, touch, form, taste, smell. These are the, and then you have on the other side buddhi, ahankara, manas, and chitta. Now on the subjective side, again it divides into two. Okay, it divides into two. If you look at the chart, you will see jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. The universe is interacting with you, and you are interacting with the universe. Whenever you speak to somebody, you are speaking to somebody in the universe, and that person interacts with you. When he speaks, you are using your senses and your eyes to see what he is saying. Okay? So, the jnanendriyas are the senses: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. Okay? These are the jnanendriyas. They are the, what you call in English, the physical senses. On the other hand, when the universe is interacting with you, you are using senses to understand what the universe is trying to communicate to you. But you are also communicating with the universe. And this is a concept which is not there in the other philosophies, but is very clearly there: the interaction between the universe and the individual. When the universe is interacting with you, you are using senses. But when you are interacting with the universe, you are using your karmendriyas, the senses of action. Okay? You use your hand. Okay, you can pet somebody. You can eat. You are taking food from the universe and putting it into your mouth, or you can give a slap to somebody. So your hand is a karmendriya. Similarly, your leg. You can also, you can walk on in the universe. You can also kick somebody. You can kick a football. So you are interacting with the universe. So hands and legs. Then the two organs at the lower end of the body. When you are performing your natural functions, okay, then evacuation and passing water, you are interacting with the universe. So that makes four. But there is one more, which is your mouth. Because when you speak also, you have an interaction with the world. You can have effects in the world. I speak soft words and gentle, kind words. Somebody will be affected. And that somebody is in the universe. He will feel happy. But you can also use harsh words and he will feel unhappy. So you are having an effect in the physical world. So these are the karmendriyas. This is the chart. And that's why the Sankhya philosophy is called the 24 basic principles of Sankhya philosophy. So 24 principles. What are they? Ether, air, fire, water, earth. 5. Sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Another 5. So 10. Then Mahas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Manas. Another 4. So 14. Then eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, 5. And corresponding to that, hand, foot, mouth, anus, and your reproductive organ. So that's 5. So it comes to 10. So it comes to 24. Okay. So this is why it's called the Sankhya. It's a number. These are the basic principles of Prakriti. So this is what Srimad is saying. But what about consciousness? So that's what Srimad will discuss now. So I've given you the chart because the chart was in front of me, but you have to either get a hard copy or whatever and have a look at it. It's not very important because it is something not essential for the Gita, but still, since the question of Sankhya is there, Srimad has discussed it. Now I'll read the para. Oh, I think one of you has to read, no? Ah, there, you see.
We have read it, we have to redo it.
Acha, acha, okay. So, Sunki has tried to put that on the on chat. It is there. Ah, there you are. There is a picture. Now, all of you can see it?
Yes, yes, I put there.
This is what we discussed just now. Okay? So, we come out and continue with our reading. So, that's right. Sunki, you are a genius.
It's an easy one, Rangata.
You managed to put it on the screen. Okay, so I am reading each sentence as Yasmin said. Okay, so but whence then come this conscious intelligence and conscious will which we perceive to be so large a part of our being and which we commonly and instinctively refer to not to the Prakriti but to the Purusha. So remember, the chart that we saw just now is the 24 principles of Prakriti. Prakriti takes all these forms. But we have also consciousness, and that is Purusha. From where does that come? So now Srimad is explaining that. Okay. According to the Sankhya, this intelligence and will are entirely a part of the mechanical energy of nature and not properties of the soul. They are the principle of Buddhi, one of the 24 tattvas, the 24 cosmic principles. So Buddhi, according to Sankhya, is part of Prakriti. Prakriti, in the evolution of the world, bases herself with her three gunas in her as the original substance of things, unmanifest, inconscient, out of which are evolved successively 5 elemental conditions of energy or matter, for matter and force are the same in the Sankhya philosophy, just as in science. Okay? Matter and force. Okay. So this is what we just now saw, the objective part. Okay. The Prakriti, subjective and objective, and produces this. The 24 cosmic principles. So Prakriti in the evolution of the world bases herself with the three gunas. We discussed that corresponding to matter, life, and mind. Mind is has the capacity of sattva. The life, the your vital, has the capacity of action, power, energy, movement, okay, strength. Then you have the tamas in matter. So these are the three gunas in her as the original substance of things. The original substance of things is Sat, na? So the highest. But in Sankhya you call that not Sat, but you call it Pradhana. It's the same thing, but different word. It's a basic substance from which the world is made. It becomes more and more dense until finally all the things which are dense and less dense and even more or less dense, then they are produced. Mental thoughts are substance but subtle. Vital emotions are also vital emotions also are substance. Okay, even your emotions have color, color and substance. Remember that. Okay? It's very interesting, but don't think of it that way. When you have a thought, mostly the color is yellow. And when you have emotions, they can be bluish, violetish, okay, greenish even. They even use the word now green with envy. Because if you have got subtle sight, you will be able to see that when a person is jealous, okay, there's green in his aura. Okay, it's interesting. Okay, and the thought is usually yellow. Around the head, if you can see the aura, if he is a very intelligent person, you will see a yellow color. As you keep going higher and higher, the color of the psychic is supposed to be pink, whitish pink. Okay, and the color of the supermind is that golden orange. So these are all colors and they have meaning. Okay? When you see these colors, when a yogi sees the colors, he knows automatically the character of the person. Isn't it? It's very obvious. So that's what he's saying. Now, I read the next sentence. These are called by the names of the five concrete elements of ancient thought: ether, air, fire, water, earth. Now remember that these are not actually air, actually fire, actually water or earth. They are symbolic names to explain to you the increasing subtlety as you go up and the decreasing subtlety as you come down, or the increasing density as you come down and the decreasing density as you go up. Okay? Ether, air, fire, water, earth. They are symbolic of the density of things. But the density is only one. All these things are only one. Just like as I said, water it can become ice, it can become water, it can become even water vapor. Okay. So that's exactly what Sankhya is describing. But it must be remembered that they are not elements in the modern scientific sense. The elements in the modern scientific sense are oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, okay, gold, silver, antimony, tin, steel, iron, steel no, steel is a combination. Steel is made by man. They add carbon to iron and you get steel. So these are the elements, okay? Phosphorus, carbon, but it is not. In Sankhya philosophy, they are not elements as in science. They are the one substance which becomes denser and denser. That's what they mean. But it must be remembered that they are not elements in the modern scientific sense, but subtle conditions of material energy and nowhere to be found in their purity in the gross material world. Absolute Sat you will not find in the physical world. You will only find gross forms of Sat. All objects are created by the combination of these five subtle conditions or elements. Again, so if you see a stone, it's a combination of all the ether, air, fire, water. That's what it's saying. Okay. Again, each of these five is the base of one of five subtle properties of energy or matter: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, which constitute the way in which the mind sense perceives objects. When you hear sound, you are using your subtle, your gross sense, and you are understanding the sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Thus, by these five elements of matter, put forth from primal energy, and these five sense relations through which matter is known, is evolved what we would call in modern language the objective aspect of the cosmic existence. So these are the objective aspect. I told you the tamasic aspect, the objective aspect. But there is also a subjective aspect. So that's what we are now discussing. 13 other principles constitute the subjective. We have to read the next one. Okay. So it's quite a long one. What's the time? 8. We have got time. It's 8:15. We've got 20 minutes. So although it's a very big one, we can read it. But you have to look at the chart to be able to understand what it's saying. Okay. So we'll read it, but I'll ask you to look at the chart. I'm telling you again that this is not essential for the Gita, but if you are interested in what the Sankhya is saying, you can go through it again after we have read. So today we will only read the para. 13 other principles. One of you has to read. Only 3 of you are there today. Archanadi is not there. Yeah. Read.
13 other principles constitute the subjective aspect of the cosmic energy, buddhi or mahat, ahankara, manas, and its 10 sense functions, 5 of knowledge, 5 of action. Manas, mind, is the original sense which perceives all objects and reacts upon them. For it has at once an inferent and inefferent activity, receives by perception what the Gita calls the outward touches of things.
Bahya.
Yes, Sparsha, and so forms its idea of a good and exercises its reactions of active vitality, but it specializes its most ordinary functions of reception by aid of the 5 perceptive senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, which makes the 5 properties of things their respective object and specializes certain necessary vital functions of reaction by aid of the 5 active senses, which operates for speech, locomotion, the seasoning of things, ejection, and generation. Buddhi, the discriminating principle, is at once intelligence and will. It is that power in nature which discriminates and coordinates. Ahankara, the ego sense, is the subjective principle in Buddhi by which the Purusha is induced to identify himself with Prakriti and her activities. But these subjective principles are themselves as mechanical, as much a part of the inconscient energy as those which constitute her objective operations. If we find it difficult to realize how intelligence and will can be properties of the mechanical inconscient and themselves mechanical, jada, we have only to remember that modern science itself has been driven to the same conclusion. Even in the mechanical action of the atom, there is a power which can only be called an inconscient will, and in all the works of nature, that pervading will does inconsistently the works of intelligence. What we call mental intelligence is precisely the same thing in its essence as that which discriminates and coordinates subconsciously in all the activities of the material universe and conscious mind itself. Science has tried to demonstrate is only a result of transcript of the mechanical action of the inconscient. But Sankhya explains What modern science leaves in obscurity, the process by which the mechanical and inconscious takes on the appearance of consciousness. It is because of the reflection of Prakriti in Purusha, the light of consciousness of the soul is attributed to the workings of the mechanical energy, and it is thus that the Purusha observing nature as a witness and forgetting himself is deluded with the idea generated in her that it is he who thinks, feels, wills, acts, while all the time the operation of thinking, feeling, willing, acting is conducted really by her and her three moods and not by himself at all. To get rid of this delusion is the first step towards the liberation of the soul from nature and her works.
Yeah. So he has gone into great detail to explain. That's exactly what we read in the chart. Okay. So I think it is not necessary to go through that chart again, and that what should be explaining. We have seen all these the terms. There is only one thing, one or two things we can mention: inferent and efferent. Okay. Inferent is the bahya sparsha. Bahya sparsha means the outward touches of things, the outward impacts. As the wind is coming, it is coming from outside and entering into you. You are eating food, it is from outside, it is coming and entering into you. A sound is coming, it is coming from outside and entering into you. Okay? So, smell is coming from a flower from the outside and it's entering into you. This is what is called inferent. It is coming inwards. But efferent means going outwards. And that we saw your hand, your leg, and the two organs at the lower end of the body, and your mouth. With these are called the karmendriyas, the physical instruments of action which allow you to interact with the physical world. Okay. Note interestingly that your senses are allowing you to contact the universe, and the universe is being contacted by you through your karmendriya, hands, legs, and mouth. Okay. So this is what Swami is saying. So these are what are called the bahya sparsha. And when these outward touches come to us, we are very much affected. We think that they are our. When an emotion comes from outside, we think that is my emotion. When a thought comes from outside, we think that is my thought. All this is why? Because of ahankara, because of ego. You identify yourself with your body, mind, life, and this is what happens. Okay? So that's what Shem is saying. And science also says precisely that this is what the Sankhya also says, that all these buddhi, mahas, ahankara, manas, all these things are all actually only physical. Okay? There's an element of truth in that, because if you start from the lower element, if you start from matter, out of matter comes life. So life is a product of matter. Out of that also mind is coming. It's a product of matter. Even as you keep going higher and higher, this matter becomes subtler and subtler until finally at the overmind level, it becomes the subtlest of all. Okay? So Sremdo says that even at the overmind level, it is still ignorance, which means matter. Okay? So only when you go to the supermind, the ignorance disappears. So this is what Siddha is saying, and what science cannot explain, how consciousness is coming in, Sankhya is explaining. The consciousness is coming in because you identify yourself with the body, mind, life, and you think that you are acting. Actually, you are not acting at all. It's the universe that is acting in you, and because of your ego, you think that you are acting. This is the Sankhya philosophy, its explanation. So how do you get rid of this identification? That is the first step for liberation. Okay? Your soul, your Purusha, is stuck and imprisoned in the body, mind, life, and it thinks that it is the body, mind, life. It's like the householder, the owner of the house, thinking that he is the house. But if he is Normally in the physical world it doesn't happen like that, but spiritually you are the owner of the house and you think that you are the house. That's that's the ignorance. But when you realize that you are not the house and you are using the house, you are liberated, you are free. That is what is moksha, liberation of the soul. To get rid of this delusion, I am reading the last sentence. To get rid of this delusion is the first step towards the liberation of the soul from nature and her works. So, liberation, mukti, comes a realization of your soul, consists of your consciousness, your purusha, realizing that it is not body, mind, life, it is something else. So that's the main thing. Okay. Now, Swayambhu has told us that Sankhya is quite valid, but there are some things which are not valid from the Advaita point of view. From the Gita point of view also it is not valid, because there are other, if you go higher up, there are elements which contradict the Sankhya philosophy. So he is going to tell us what those objections are. Okay, we have got about 10 minutes. 8:25, so 8:35, we have got 10 minutes. I think we can read the para. No? So, either Sunki or Yasmin read. There are certainly plenty of things. Okay, we can just read it. There will be just enough time for that.
Would
Okay?
you like me to read?
Yes, why not? Absolutely.
There are certainly plenty of things in our existence which the Sankhya does not explain at all or does not explain satisfactorily. But if we all need is a rational explanation of the cosmic process in their principles as a basis for the great object common to the ancient philosophies. The liberation of the soul from the obsession of cosmic nature. Then the Sankhya explanation of the world and the Sankhya way of liberation seem as good and as effective as any other. What we do not seize at first is why it should bring in an element of pluralism into its dualism by affirming one Prakriti but many Purushas. It would seem that the existence of one Purusha and one Prakriti would be sufficient to account for the creation and procession of the universe. But the Sankhya was bound to evolve pluralism by its rigidly analytical observation of the principles of things. First, actually, we find that there are many conscious beings in the world, and each regards the same world in his own way and in his own independent experience of its subjective and objective things. His separate dealings with the same perceptive and reactive processes. If there were only one Purusha, there would not be this central independence and separativeness, but all would see the world in an identical fashion and with a common subjectivity and objectivity. But Prakriti is one. All witness the same world because her principles are everywhere the same. The general principles which constitute internal and external experience are the same for all. But the infinite difference of view and outlook and attitude, action and experience and escape from experience. A difference not of the natural operations, which are the same, but of the witnessing consciousness, are utterly inexplicable except on the supposition that there is a multiplicity of witnesses, many Purushas. The separative ego sense, we may say, is a sufficient explanation. But the ego sense is a common principle of nature and need not vary, nor By itself, it simply induces the Purusha to identify itself with Prakriti. And if there is only one Purusha, all beings would be one, joined and alike in their egoistic consciousness, however different in detail might be the mere forms and combinations of the natural parts. There would be no difference of soul outlook and soul experience. The variations of nature ought not to make all this central difference. This multiplicity of outlook, and from beginning to end, this separateness of experience in one witness, one Purusha. Therefore, the pluralism of souls is a logical necessity to a pure Sankhya system divorced from the Vedantic elements of the ancient knowledge which first gave its birth. The cosmos and its process can be explained by the commerce of one Prakriti with one Purusha, but not the multiplicity of conscious beings in the cosmos.
So, a one-page para where he is discussing the objections to the Sankhya philosophy. The objections are from the point of view of the Vedanta, there is objection. But from the itself, there is no question of objection because it is valid at the lower level. That's very clear, and very briefly we will discuss that. See, if Vedanta is saying that essentially all is the same, ether, air, fire, water are the same, the Satchidananda are really essentially the same, they take different forms like ice, water vapor, water are all same essentially, but taking different forms. So at the lower level, the different forms are valid, it is true. But at the higher level, the oneness is also true. So Vedanta is stressing the oneness of things essentially, and the Sankhya is stressing the, at the lower end, the multiplicity. So this is what he's saying. But if you go up, then even at the physical level, you can see all the different souls as essentially one. That's what the cosmic consciousness is all about. No? As soon as you are in the cosmic consciousness, you see that your soul is the soul of everybody else. There's a connectedness. Your body is matter, other people's bodies also are all matter. Essentially, all matter. So you start seeing the oneness at the higher level. But at the lower level, they are all different. There is another reason also why Sankhya talks of multiple souls. Suppose you are having liberation, your soul is having liberation, but my soul doesn't get liberated? No. So they are different. And if they are different, Sankhya is multiplicity is correct. That's what Sindhu is explaining in this para. Basically, that's what he is explaining. Okay? So, as I said, Sankhya philosophy, we don't need to go too much into detail, but since the Gita has touched upon it, he has also touched upon it in two or three paras. Okay. So, this is the, from the Advaita point of view, Sankhya is okay, acceptable at the lower level, but not acceptable at the higher level. Okay, that's what he's saying. So what those objections are, first objection he has said, that in Advaita, in the Vedanta philosophy, all souls are essentially one. That's why it's called Advaita. There is no division. Essentially, everything is one. But in the Sankhya, essentially, all are different. That's one. Then the other one, also we will discuss next time. Okay. So, second objection to Sankhya. There is another difficulty. That's the next paragraph. There is another difficulty which is quite as formidable, he says. So this we will read next time. Okay. So, can we stop here today?
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, Yasmin, Shilpa, and Sanketi. Okay, au revoir.